Well, welcome again. Last time I have mentioned that there was a historical case when target income was set by certain people, and that was actually, I mean, even today can be there. So some people might be like that, but that needs a research to research basically. Uh, well, we need to have a research to see whether people are really behaving like that or not. But um in the history, actually, there was one case where the behavior of people was almost undeniably so, and that actually has put the um, employers of the time into desperation. And employers I'm talking about were the British Empire, basically. That was the employer actually. And it was 19th century, end of 19th century, and British Empire has colonized vast regions of Africa. They have already colonized South Africa before, but now they have colonized vast regions of Africa, not only South Africa. But South Africa climate was more mild there, so they could get some European colonizers, and still some Europeans live there. There are some European Africans, I mean, living in South Africa, but uh, other regions of Africa had more extreme climate compared with Europe, especially. So Europeans were not that much willing to come there. But British Empire wanted to do certain projects there. I mean, and they needed to have some workers there. They could not get workers from Europe, so they turned to the local workforce. Um, but not enough people were willing to do the jobs, uh, like, for example, building a train road. So the typical economics, that's late 19th century, so you already have Adam Smith and typical views you have seen there were there in relatively more primitive form, but they were there. So if you don't have enough workforce, what you do, you increase the wage. But increasing the wage doesn't increase the workforce. Actually, it has decreased the workforce because most Africans had the a target income level. They in their head that's fixed amount of income is enough for them to buy what they need to buy from city centers. Most of them were living in village anyway. And if the wage is high, they can reach to that target income level faster. So they don't need to buy. They need to they the time they need to work means gets smaller. So British Empire has become desperate. How do they solve in that case this problem? With taxation. Uh, so uh, they make every hut in villages, typical village, to pay a certain amount of tax. Now, in order to get that tax, the members of the hut need to work for a longer time. So, by increasing this minimum income level that's necessary to survive, British Empire was able to provide the uh, labor force it needed, and the workers work long enough for the British Empire to build that infrastructure. Interesting case. Well, another interesting case is I'm leaving it there. I mean, you might think about it. There could be a discussion on this, but I'm leaving those thoughts to you. If you want to discuss, we can discuss it basically privately, or even we can open a discussion thread on this. Another interesting case is the case of CEOs. Actually, that's the opposite case. CEOs already have a high level of income, but they work for long hours. While people who have already high level of wage do not work a little bit less, maybe uh, work half as much as they want to for the half amount of income they would get. Uh, well, we might say CEOs don't have that kind of a choice. They don't have that kind of a choice because working half an amount means they won't get the CEO job. and the second job they could get will not pay them half as much, but probably much less than half as much. I mean, maybe 100 or 1,000 of what they got as CEO. Well, one option they could have is actually work for a special number of years and then quit from the job. But the point is, once you got CEO and basically you got a certain level of income, you got a certain life standards, and that you by quitting the job, actually you lose the income and the life standards you had and the culture within which you are living as a CEO will change, and just collecting income get into a type of social sphere to get income and quit from that social sphere and get into a new social sphere might not be that easy because I mean adjusting to a new social sphere takes time, and not everyone might be willing to do that adjustment. But we might also say being a CEO gives you a special power, and you might not want to use that power. I mean, in that case, I mean, enjoying the job you have, the control you have as a result of the job you have, might also be a factor which is not taken into account in case of the basic theory we have seen. Basically, that people don't enjoy job but just work for the money. But maybe CEOs enjoy their jobs basically because they have this decision making power. Anyway, now we will see. This is from your textbook. There is one application of the theory. I think it's a very bad application, and I will have some criticism of it then, but I will just show you. So basically they have taken the model and they have applied it to the welfare system. And main idea there is kind of the welfare system will be kind of inefficient. Well, you might still. The book doesn't explicitly say that, but I think that is a logical result of it. But it takes it has some critical assumptions. The most critical assumption is everyone has the same wage level, and we have a flat tax, so we tax everyone's income at the same rate. Rate means actually you put, for example, 50% tax rate, so 50% of your wage is taken as a tax, and then that tax is distributed to the people as an income. So the state doesn't use it for infrastructure or training, improving the human capital, making, for example, schools free, or providing training programs to increase the productivity. Rather, it distributes it to the people, and when the people get that money, they don't increase their productivity with that money. They rather spend it for consumption. I mean, they use it. The role of income is as it was in the previous model. I mean, we don't take into account that income can be used for increasing your productivity. And the money is distributed equally, basically. However much you work, if you work more or less, doesn't matter. The money is distributed equally. What will happen to the optimum labor time of the workers in that case? Of course, the model can be changed, and we might ask what will happen if the model is changed. But in the core model, at least, if possible, I actually want to make the graph larger, but I cannot do it. Anyway, concentrate on the graph. So, BA was the old budget line. We assumed no one has an income, no one in the labor force had the non-labor market income before. And once people taxed, it's a flat tax for every income level you can get. So if you get, for example, $1,000, now you get let's say 40% of that $1,000. If you are getting $10, again you got 40% of that $10 now. So your basically your income, the income you got as a by working is taxed by 40%, let's say 60%. I mean, you got 40% of the income, so 60% is taken away from you. So that makes this portion, the slope of your budget line smaller, flatter. I mean, your budget line will become flatter, but now you will have a shift in your budget line. So you have this non-labor market income. So your budget line starts from C, basically. So what will happen in this case? So the two budget lines will intersect at the point E. And if you go down E, you get L1. L1 is the labor time. Basically, I mean, at E you have a specific amount of represents a specific amount of labor time. Also an income, but labor time will be here critical. So if you work less than L1, in that case, by working same amount, what will happen to the optimum labor time to the people, basically? To find it, I mean, this L1 will be critical. Let me start with that. And let me, in order to find the optimum labor time, we should ask these two questions. What will be the substitution effect created by such a system is the first question. What will be the income effect created by such a system will be our second question. If substitution and income effect are working in the same direction, in that case, basically, I'm sorry. In that case, the effect will be clear. If they work in the separate directions, in that case, whatever effect is dominant will decide in change of the optimum labor time. And if we don't know which effect will dominate, we won't know how it will affect them optimum labor time. So first, since wage level decreased, substitution effect will be negative. It will decrease the labor time. Why? Because now leisure time has become less valuable. The price of leisure time has fallen down. So we will substitute, while the price of the consumption goods are the same, we will substitute from consumption goods to leisure time. Or since working provides us less income, working doesn't pay off that much, we will rather not work. I mean, that creates a disincentive to work according to this logic. What about the income effect? Well, we can understand income effect by looking how will the income of an individual change if, after this policy is put into effect, if the person doesn't change anything in his life, if he works or she works at the same amount of time. If our individual is working less than L1, then initially he or she is on the BE line, and maintaining his initial working time, this worker will move vertically up to the EC curve. Vertically up means the income of our individual will remain the same, and leisure time, if it doesn't change his or her working time, will remain the same. So basically, income effect will be the income of this person will increase. While income increases, in that case, working time will decrease. Why? Because you have more income, you can afford to buy more leisure time. So if our individual works less than L1, our individual will afford to buy more leisure time. So income effect will decrease the labor time, and substitution effect will also be negative, will decrease the working time, because working works less will bring less income. So if our individual works less than L1, his or her optimum labor time will certainly decrease. We will continue in the next part.